Cheers. Alright, I'm gonna try not to talk too loud just because my girlfriend is sleeping, so super late. It's almost 11 o'clock, it's 10:40, but I told myself I would make a video today, so I gotta do it. I don't have anything really to talk about, so I'm gonna try to tell a story of some sort. I don't know if I want to get vulnerable. I don't know if I want to. Probably not gonna get vulnerable. I've been writing stories down from like my time hitchhiking across America, and like I was trying to decide like where I wanted to start my book off. And I think I'll just tell you the same story that I'm trying to figure out if I should start my book off in that way. Is the time I thought I was going to die. That was like the moment where I was like truly terrified. The only time I shouldn't say the only time, one of the only times I was genuinely scared that I was going to die on that trip. And it was halfway across the country. At that point, it was like I already made it past Kansas City. So if you know anything about Kansas, it's like, I was on the other side of Kansas City. And the night before, I got arrested. Well, I shouldn't say arrested. I got put in the back of a cop car and basically got in trouble for hitchhiking on the interstate, which turns out you're not allowed to do in Kansas. Just advice for anyone: Kansas is a horrible state. Sorry for anyone who lives there, but it is not enjoyable. There is nothing there, nothingness. It's so barren and miserable. They have Kansas City, and it's barely even in the state. It's like, it's half not even in the state. Half of Kansas City isn't even in Kansas City. But it was the night before I got kind of thrown into a cop car and dropped off. So I luckily did not get full-on arrested, kind of like a warning slapped on the wrist, which was nice. So he kind of just dropped me off off the interstate by his, I'll call it a precinct or whatever, his cop home, his pig house. And he let me off there, and I found somewhere to sleep. I can't remember. I think I slept in my hammock that night in front of a hotel. And I know I'm a horrible person, but that's the way I was eating for free. It was sneaking into hotels the night of, before the night, and then finding out if they had a complimentary breakfast or not booking a room, and then sleeping outside in my hammock, stashing my bag. And then in the morning when I'd wake up at like 6 a.m. or whatever time that was, it was usually around 6 or 7 a.m., I would go walk just right through the front doors because I didn't really look, like a hitchhiker. I would have clothing in my backpack. I would either change or just not look too gross. And I would walk right through the lobby, past the lobby, and grab myself breakfast. And I ate breakfast and that was fine. Had a kind of an unpleasant morning. Nobody was really picking me up. And when I ended up risking it and trying to hitchhike on the interstate, even though the guy told me if he found me hitchhiking on the interstate again, he was going to put me in jail, I decided to sneak on the interstate one last time, trying to get a ride out of that miserable state. It was so hot. It was like, I think it was like 90 or 100 degrees. It was just so hot. And I remember, I'm not really a big prayer. I don't really pray a lot. But I remember actually legitimately praying to just get a ride far out of that state. I was like, please, just at least give me a ride to Denver. Just get me out of Kansas. I just want a ride out of Kansas. And I don't know if it was coincidence or not, but I think 2 cars passed me right after I was done praying. And this black Honda Hyundai. I always get those confused. Pulled off, and I was like, oh, that could be for me. And it's always questionable too, because like you don't know when somebody pulls off if they're pulling off for you or if they're, you know, something's going on, they're lost, or they don't know what's going on. And I ended up walking up, kind of jogging up, trying not to look too scary or, you know, rush the situation, but I was excited if there was actually a legitimate ride. And there was this huge dude, I mean huge, I don't want to call him bald, but really short hair, black baseball cap, and he had these like the sporty black sunglasses, which I was kind of like, for some reason my father would always wear those glasses, so I never really liked them. Just wasn't my cup of tea. I always like something about it, like looked like a grown up wearing child sunglasses. I just never wasn't my vibe, you know. But and he had this like sports jacket on, and I think he had black shorts on, so he was just in all black, right? This white guy in all black clothes, like sports wear, but he wasn't an athlete by any means. He was just like a huge dude, and he didn't really say much, but I remember his voice being pretty like raspy, like low, and like, you know, like, yeah, get in, you know. And I was like, all right, and he like cleaned off the seat. There was just like a little bit. It wasn't like a dirty car or anything like that. It was kind of like mint, which was weird. You could tell like it wasn't lived in. It wasn't anything, you know, no alarms were going off. It didn't really look like a daily driver is what I'm saying. It wasn't dirty by any means. And at that point, I think he introduced himself. I think I shook his hand, and he told me his name. And I ended up driving with him for a little bit. Not long enough to like know him or be comfortable. Very casual, you know, like quick conversation. Very short answers from him and I, you know, because you don't know. You're jumping in, I mean, I'm a stranger, he's a stranger. You don't really know who you're jumping in a car with, so you can never be too safe, I guess. He took a shot on me and I took a shot on him, and I didn't know if he was gonna be a good guy or not. And there's a point where he like, wasn't even long after he picked me up. It was, I want to say a couple minutes after. So he was like, I have to pee so bad, I'm gonna take this exit or something like that. But I don't even think he said I have to pee so bad. I think he just said I have to pee. And he ended up taking this I'll call it an exit, but like, if you've ever been in Kansas City, there is nothing for miles. There's maybe one highway and one city, and that is it. There is nothingness. I mean, nothingness. It is just so flat and nothing going on. So when he took this exit, there was no gas stations, there were no houses, there was nothing. When I say there was nothing, there was literally nothing. It was a dirt road. This exit was a dirt road off of an interstate. And he didn't immediately stop. Like when you have to pee so bad, you usually think, oh, like I'll just pull off to the side here, pop open my door, and just pee. That was my immediate thought. Like I was like, all right, he'll just pee really quick and just jump back in the car, hopefully, you know. But I started to worry when he didn't stop. Like he just took the exit, and then it was perpendicular to the interstate. So when you take this dirt road, he just kept driving. And I mean driving and driving and driving and driving so far, like miles, football fields worth of away from the interstate. And I just remember like I kept looking up in the rearview mirror and being like, wow, he's like really driving far away from this road. And I was like silent the whole time, and I kept thinking back about like how I lost my knife the first day. So this is already a few days into it, so I didn't have, like, even if he did try to like grab me or anything, or just do anything, or how to, like, I didn't even have anything to fight, so I'd have to be, you know, my hands, if that. And he just kept driving. And then, like, to the moment, like, where I started to get so worried, like, about, like, how far he was driving, he, like, finally started to slow down and, like, let up. And then I was like, whew. But it wasn't, like, a sigh of relief, or, like, I was like, okay, maybe he's gonna pee. But, like, at this point, I was, like, why is he so far away from just like civilization? Like I couldn't even see the road anymore. Like they were like, and there was no way anybody on the interstate was seeing us. Like there was no way. We were so far away from that road. And I was just thinking like if he pulls a gun on me, definitely done for. If it's a knife, man, I really hope it's not a knife, because I know that's going to be miserably, like, just a long, miserable death. Just so painful. And I was just thinking, like, if he did it, either of those things, I was probably not going to be found for weeks, at least. Like, probably, maybe not even for the rest of my life. My body would just be there. Unless somebody maybe tracked my phone. If it was even, like, on, I don't even think it was, like, I didn't even think I had battery at that point. Who knows? But there was a point where he didn't even, like, he barely even pulled off at the dirt road, too. So he ended up getting out of the car, and I remember my heart just pounding, because I was like, oh my God, like, because he started walking around the front, because I was like, that's weird. Like, I would have thought to, like he'd want to pee away from me, like not around me or anything like that. And I remember him walking in the front and then eventually stopping, right? Just finally stopping. I was going. But then he didn't stop to pee. He just went and points. He goes, oh, look, a fox. And I was like, well, what? There's actually a fox. He was pointing to a fox. And I just remember seeing this fox that he spooked up start like galloping and leaping over the... And I was like, oh, okay. And at that point, I was like, okay. And as soon as I turned back to look, his back was facing me, and he was just peeing in front of the car. And I was like, whew. All right, maybe I am going to live. And I ended up driving with that guy all the way to Denver, and he switched his car to a new rental, and he drove me to Yellowstone and in a Mustang convertible, and I had an amazing couple days with this guy. It was absolutely an insane amount of fun, and he was a great dude. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, there was a point where I thought this man was going to murder me. But yeah, that's a story. Hope it was a good one.